All right, she lost an election, and now she's projecting. Hillary Clinton went on The View this week, which immediately raises a serious question. What's the weight capacity for that stage? But you'll never guess what she talked about. Her love of gardening, the things she does to stay healthy, how much she adores catching and cooking stray kittens. I was Donald Trump, as expected. But it's like I always tell Taylor Swift, girl, you gotta move on. Seriously, Trump doesn't just live in Hillary's brain. He's built a 500-unit condo with in-unit laundry and a rooftop lounge.
When Greg Gutfeld goes after someone, no big shot politician is safe, especially not Hillary Clinton. In a takedown filled with super sharp jokes and honest truth, Gutfeld pulls away the fancy fake stuff off political acting to show the real. Behind the fake smiles and rehearsed words, from email problems to world Wodemus days, nothing is off limits, as he tears apart her reputation with a grin and amic drop. Get ready. This isn't just complaining, it's a funny demolition.
Half of registered voters said any Republican would be better than President Biden, prompting one woman to legally change her name to NE Republican. In Washington, D.C., the giant grocery chain has announced a ban on large bags. Great, now where will I shop? Complains one large bag.
If you like this video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell button. Imagine waking up one morning, stretching your arms, drinking your expensive Starbucks coffee, and thinking, you know what, the world needs more unwanted advice from Hillary Clinton. Yes, because nothing's easy national healing. Like a political person who spent more time avoiding scandals than a raccoon in a trash-filled alley.
Hillary Clinton argues Joe should be, quote, direct and forceful, end quote, against Trump in the CNN debate. Yeah, direct and forceful, just like the noose I put around Epstein's neck. If I did it.
And right on time, Greg Gutfeld decided to take the wrecking ball for a spin. And folks, it wasn't just demolition. It was a Category 5 roast complete with wordfire, public show, and the subtlety of a wrecking ball in a glass shop. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We have a Clinton to
warning signals that you were gonna lose. Well, too bad you didn't bother to visit the states you ended up losing, you potato-shaped wine bag. But would he even be worse now?
I think that he'd be even worse now.
Yeah.
Because he was somewhat restrained, believe it or not,
Wow.
in the first term by people who he hired because he thought they would go along with him, and they.
Now, if political comebacks were asked for, Hillary would be the Michael Jordan of missing the basket completely. Every 4 years, like a badly written sequel, she comes out from the fog, armed with a new pantsuit and a freshly prepared sense of being better than everyone. It's almost like poetry. If poetry were written in comic books by a group of advisors who all failed their good behavior class.
And, they're going to try to ignore him for as long as they can because they're deathly afraid of him. And they're going to do to him what they did to me in the Democratic primary of 2020, which is pretend you don't exist. And then if people start noticing you, then they will try to smear and cancel and destroy him at all costs.
I remember what Hillary did to you.
Exactly.
Yeah, and she's still standing, and
Baseless smears that repeated over and over and over again by the propaganda media until people actually start to believe it, and it starts causing some real damage.
But on the bright
Let's take a walk down memory lane, shall we? Back to a time when email servers lived in basements. Benghazi was just a place on the map, and delete wasn't just a button. It was a way of life. Because nothing makes people trust you like erasing 30,000 emails faster than a teenager hiding texts from their mom.
by asking Hillary what will happen if Trump is reelected, which is odd because Hillary's an expert on not getting elected. I wonder, does she think it would end our country as we know it?
I think it would be the end of our country as we know it. And I don't say that lightly. You know, I hated losing, and I especially hated losing to him because I had seen so many warning signals during the campaign.
Greg did not hesitate, eyes sparkling with mischief, the political equal off throwing Mentos into a Diet Coke bottle. Except in this case, the Diet Coke is Hillary's reputation, and the Mentos sorry truth bombs covered in sarcasm. The man didn't even blink. He just casually took apart decades of carefully planned Clinton like he was opening a bag of chips, sour cream, and election delusion flavor. Anyone? Whoa.
This is why lefties always get all the commencement addresses, and they love to spout their opinions on award shows because they know there's no journalist there that will ask them a question. And the reason why, and he's the perfect example, none of their opinions are actually real. They are all assigned.
Now, let's not forget 2016 election, also known as Theplet twist that shocked French's nation. Hillary was supposed to win. That was the plan. Everyone from Hollywood to the ghost of FDR had already written the congratulations. But the American public in a wonderful display of unpredictabilities. Yeah, no. And Hillary, she took it so well. By that I mean, she spent the next 5 years writing books, going on tour, blaming Macedonian internet farms, and starring in her own of It Wasn't Me by Shaggy. Except instead of Shaggy, it was irritating cast of people to blame. Commie, sexism, the Russians, woman-hating WI fire odors, gluten problems, and at one point, possibly even gravity. Meanwhile, Gutfeld's roast didn't hold back. Hewent in like a kid at Chuck E. Cheese with unlimited tokens. Every failed talking point, every recycled excuse, every boring hot take from Hillary's after-election press parade was get apart, made fun of, and left for brain compost. Nothing like turning a country into a Mad Max sequence, calling it a diplomatic success.
Been in the Democratic Party's pocket since Hillary stopped having sex.
That's like decades.
Yeah. Losing the union endorsement is like P. Diddy running out of baby oil. There's a whole lot of friction ahead. When Teamsters polled their members about the Dems' new candidate, Tackles McKnee pads.
And we can't leave out the Clinton Foundation, that shiny beacon of hut, exactly. Goodwill, honesty, or just a cleverly disguised family boostness with the branding of a charity and the efficiency of a DMV on fire. Millions of dollars poured in. And somehow, the world remains unfixed. Coincidence? Probably not. Greg, with excited enthusiasm of a kid unwrapping a gift labeled hypocrisy, happily pointed out that Hillary's speeches to Wall Street were less inspiring leader and more customer service rep. Reading from a gold-covered teleprompter, paid 6 figures to tell banks state varithing was fine. Basically, the political version of a lullaby for billionaires, and the nerve. Perfect. He peeled away the layers offlish story like an onion, off ambition, ego, and ironic distance. And yes, there were tears, but only framed the audience, laughing like crazy.
The alleged creator of the plan was Julianne Smith, a Clinton policy advisor that the unclassified Durham report refers to as Foreign Policy Advisor 1. And this woman, look how happy she is. She's like, I got away with everything. I nailed it. And then Obama made me the liaison to NATO. I mean, not Obama, Biden. Like I continue to get employed by these people because all I do is sit around and do the illicit bidding of my Democrat power boss.
Let's not forget her sudden rebranding as a champion of truth. This is funny coming from someone who once claimed Tobe dead broke while owning more real estate than Monopoly. Hillary's relations with truth is like a vegan at a barbecue. Awkward, tense, and full of contradictions, and somehow, she still manages to present herself as a voice of moral clarity in politics. That's like being the designated driverot, a demolition derby. Sure, it sounds responsible, but you're still in the wrong place. Greg's takedown was suppressive, so ruthless. It felt like watching a roast on the History Channel. Educational, but with jokes. He casually reminded us that Hillary has been in more scandals than most soap operas, but with worse acting. Every relatable moment feels like it was sapproved by a focus group and tested on lab rats for authenticity. Drinking beer at a dive bar. Staged, riding the subway. Staged, breathing oxygen. TBD.
This one is wild. This is Hillary Clinton in like 2008. And Hillary Clinton saying some wild MAGA type shit.
Tell people to come out of the shadows. If they've committed a crime, deport them. No questions asked, they're gone.
She's a Republican.
If they've been working and are law-abiding, we should say, here are the conditions for you staying. You have to pay a stiff fine because you came here illegally. You have to pay back taxes. And you have to try to learn English. And you have to train animals.
You have to wait in line. You have to wait in line.
You could believe that.
Illusion.
But the kicker, the best part off this roast, Gutfeld casually tossed out a rhetorical firebomb about Clinton's unique ability to make everything worse by simply supporting it. Support a candidate, they lose. Support a policy, it tanks. It's like she's cursed by the gods of irony. If Hillary supported gravity, objects would just start floating. Meanwhile, back at Clinton HQ, the strategy seems to bedean everything, deflect always, and fourth love of all. That's political eyes occurred. Never take responsibility. It's like watching a magician who only does vanishing acts with emails, accountability, and credibility. Now, is it unfair to blame Hillary for everything? Probably. Is it fun? Absolutely. Because watching someone who's been in politics since dial-up internet still pretend to be the fresh face of change is like watching a Vitch tape try to fight TikTok and don't avenge it started on the media echo. Chamberthat follows her around like a cheerleading squad. What Shamiat was exactly what she said. It just didn't land again.
Hillary Clinton, of course, is the original election denier. I'm sure you voted for her in 2016.
Well, she's not an election denier.
She absolutely was the OG election denier.
First of all, she came out before the sun had risen to concede the election to Trump.
And then spent the next 4 years saying he was illegitimate.
Greg didn't even break a sweat. He just listed the facts with the kind-off sarcasm that cuts deeper than a tax audit. The best part, Hillary wasn't even there to respond. She didn't need to be. The roast was so well done. Even Gordon Ramsay would have approved. And yet, like a villain in a political sitcom, she will return. Probably just in time to write another memoir titled, You Thought I Was Done. Spoiler alert, she wasn't. So, the saga continues bows as long as Hillary keeps stepping into the spotlight. With Thegris of a broken Roomba, there will always be people like Gutfeld ready to hand her the microphone and then set the stage on fire. And we'll be here, popcorn in hand, watching the slow-motion train wreck that is political ambition unburdened by self-awareness. Because nothing says I'm done with politics like popping up on every news cycle like a haunted political Furby. And let's talk about those endless interviews where she offers insight like Kia, Monday morning quarterback with a grudge and a thesaurus.
Doesn't mean that Hillary would have been a good choice.
No.
Either. She was a terrible choice. She's a corrupt politician, one of the most unlikable people that's ever run for office. They were trying to get people to be supporting her just because she's a woman. This is going to be her history. Women, ladies, I stand with her. So there's all these women that have this blind allegiance towards this career politician. Completely foolish. She's been foolish forever.
She shows a pin, a perfectly planned blazer, drops a few sentences loaded with passive-aggressive wisdom, and smiles like Shedjuiced remembered where she buried Thebades figuratively. Of course, probably. But what makes it worse, what makes it art, is how the crowd nods seriously like she just solved world hunger with a soundbite. She says things like, we need to protect, which, coming from her sounds less like a call to action and more likely a scam email wrapped in a TED Talk. There's this constant performance as if the real issue is that democracy failed her, not the other way around. Meanwhile, Greg's roast didn't just poke holes. It ripped off the fake front, threw it into the Hudson, and then handed out binoculars so everyone could watch it float away. He brought up everything polite society pretends not to remember. The donor pay-to-play accusations. But, real kicker, Gutfeld laid it all out with a grin that screamed, I read the footnotes, too. Every single time Clinton's team tried to rebrand her ass-wise elder stateswoman.
How dare she? She puts out this tweet, and it's a picture of her, a much younger Hillary, and the caption on the hat reads, but her emails. And she writes in her tweet, bringing this back in light of recent news. Get a limited edition But Her Emails hat and support Onward Together groups working to strengthen our democracy. The nerve of this woman to have committed federal crimes and to have gotten off because James Comey didn't have the spine to bring it.
Greg reminded America that she's less Jedi Master and more corporate HR rep with a grudge and a Gmail problem. And the fans ate it up. Why? Because for instance, someone said out loud, what everyone else only mumbles at Thanksgiving, that the entire Hillary political arc has become this never-ending PowerPoint of contradictions. Champion of women, unless they accuse someone she likes. Defender of truth, unless it's under fighter for the people. Sure, just as long as they're pre-approved with strong Wi-Fi. But here's the most delicious irony of it all. Despoteth, years of branding, rebranding, deflection, and strategic silence. Hillary Clinton still manages to miss one thing that might have saved her public image, genuine humility. The roast, as savage as it was, only worked because it held up a mirror she spent decades trying to avoid. And when Nasmo cleared, when the last punchline landed in, the audience finally stopped wheezing from laughter. The only thing left standing was the truth. Not Theplish consultant-approved version of it, but the raw, unfiltered reality. That maybe, just maybe, Hillary Clinton isn't misunderstood. Savior of democracy she thinks she is. Maybe she's just the loudest person in the room who can a hit, because when it comes to political drama, Hillary doesn't just bring the tea, she is the tea. Bitter, oversteeped, and absolutely impossible to ignore. And trust us.